to license the
Meep, meep.
Hi everybody, and a warm welcome back to Maple Leaf Matchbox Makeovers. I'm Andrew, and on the bench today is a 1:64 scale Hot Wheels 66 Nova. This casting was designed by Phil Riehlman and debuted in the 2007 new models. It was based on the production car of the same name. This one came out in champagne metalflake with 2 black stripes from hood to trunk. It's pretty light on exterior details though, so I'll give some attention to that. This is my entry in a very special St. Patrick's Day build-off hosted by Paul at Diecast Graveyard. If you found my channel, then you are surely familiar with his. If not, there's a link in the description below so that you can right that wrong and easily find his channel and get all subbed up. Paul has been a great help to me and so many other builders, and he does absolutely excellent restoration and custom work, specializing in classic redlines. So be sure to watch all of the other builders' entries too. The rules are simple today. Any 1:64 casting, all green or shades of green, and an Irish theme. So, stay tuned to see if I can tick all of those off of my list. It's a beautiful car that came out in an era that I grew up in, and I sure like the lines on these. I live in Switzerland, and you rarely see a big American car on the road anymore. If you do, it's beautifully restored, and they're still head turners today. The Nova was produced in 5 generations for the 1962 through 1979 and 1985 through 1988 model years by the Chevy division of General Motors, and from 1985 to 1988 by the NUMMI, a joint venture between General Motors and Toyota. Nova was the top model in the Chevy II lineup through 1968, and the Chevy II nameplate was dropped after '68, with Nova becoming the nameplate for all of the '69 through '79 models. Built on the X-body platform, the Nova was replaced by the 1980 Chevrolet Citation, introduced in the spring of 1979. I'm going old school with my brass and wire brushes today because that happened to be an afternoon job on a Sunday where I have to keep things quiet in my building, so no power tools were required, but it was nice to go back and get the feel of the bare metal like I did. Turned out to be a little bit more pitted than I could fully repair, so in this case I went with a base coat of silver metallic underneath this top coat of Tamiya clear green. Here you will see me just apply a mist coat at the beginning, and it's very important to lay these on slowly and lightly. And there is after a second coat and a top coat, or a wet coat as we call it. The 1966 Novas saw a significant restyling based in part on the Supernova concept car. In general, proportions were squared up, but dimensions and features changed very little. Engine options still included the basic inline 4 and 6-cylinder engines and V8s of 283 cubic inches and 327 cubic inches, the latter offering up 350 horsepower. There was one little accident that happened during disassembly. There was a crack in this headlight post that just broke off quite easily as soon as I touched it, and so I had to repair it with a little piece of styrene, and it looks rough in the beginning, but you'll see me here giving some attention to it, trimming with a burr tool, and I take out the other headlight and leave a recess and do the same thing on the repaired side so that I can do this. After touching it up with chrome paint, here's a little dab of super duper glue on both sides, and I drop in a small rhinestone, and now they match almost perfectly, and you won't know which side I repaired. The rhinestones come from the dollar store, and I think they make a very realistic detail on these cars, don't you? Instead of just a painted white circle for a headlight. Ooh, speaking of beautiful, these things had some muscle too. I'm doing a careful masking job here because I'm going to paint the hood in a gloss black, and you'll get the vision in a couple of minutes. But I want to show you my technique here. I use the Tamiya model tape because it has a little lower stickiness factor, which is important at the unmasking point of this process. And here's my tip that I'll pass on to you today. I might have invented this myself. When you're masking a freshly painted car, you want as little tape touching the new paint as possible. So I use kitchen clear wrap and cover the car, which prevents any paint from landing on it. And there's hardly any tape holding it down. And I give it a couple of misty shots of black so that it sets around the tape lines, and then another top coat. And leave yourself a little corner to pinch onto for the unmasking part of this, and watch how cleanly this comes off. I think there's a little bit of skill in the equation and a whole lot of good luck, which is the most important factor. And now when you remove the clear wrap, be very careful because it's covered in paint, and you don't want that to flop over and touch your nice top coat. So I kind of pull it inside out, and in this case luck was on my side, and look at that. Beautiful. Absolutely no bleed on the lines, and no paint came off with the unmasking. So I'm going to kind of redo the original black pinstripes, just with a little different twist to them. I design and make my own and print them on blue back laser decal paper. And the best tool I've got is a toothpick and a Q-tip. And this is what I use to position them and then squeegee out any air and water that's in there. And my trunk decals go down a little bit further on the back of the car than the originals, and I think that looks nicer. Now here's my other tip for today. On a dark background, decals just don't show through, so I just painted a little white circle, no bigger than where this Guinness logo will go. And now the white lettering and details of the decal show through brilliantly. I'm trying to perfect this technique, and I guess it'll take a few more times to get it perfect. I've been very fortunate to be able to be a world traveler, and of all the places I've been, Dublin, Ireland is special. That's Guinness headquarters, and they love their pubs and their parties, and if you can think of a more Irish theme than Guinness, I'll buy you one. And the Irish people are the proudest of any that I know to be Irish, and they're truly sad for you if you're not. I think that's great. And back to the Tamiya paints. Clear red for taillights, clear orange for the blinkers or the indicators. And I use this little fingernail painting tool that my wife has been looking for a long time. Honey, I don't know what happened to that. I really don't know where it is. And here's my custom license plate for today. So we're ready to put everything back together, and everything's well cured, been under the UV lights for a while, and the clear coat is nice and set up now. This went back together just perfectly. Couple screws front and back that were pre-fitted in the beginning of the restoration. And number 85 is in the history books. Let's have a closer look. I got a very nice finish with the clear coat. I left the original wheels on there. It's such a good roller, and I give these away as gifts, so I don't spend a lot of extra money on wheels. There's the world's smallest license plate. You got to get up pretty close to see that. And I think the black and green is quite striking, don't you? With the Guinness theme on the very front. And we'll turn that, and you see the lights glistening. The windshields came out fairly well. I'm very pleased with the overall results compared to what it was in the beginning. See how the stripes didn't go down the back of the trunk? And I changed it up and made it my own in all the rules, green, Irish theme. And I think it looks striking. Here it is in my little diorama with more glistening lights on it, and I'm happy to submit that as my St. Patrick's Day entry into the gift box. It goes, and thank you, Paul, again at Diecast Graveyard. Check the link for his YouTube channel and all of the other builders that are participating in this special St. Patrick's Day build-off. Give this one a thumbs up too, if you will, and come back real soon. It's Irish coffee time.